Hey, welcome back to TEW Impact for week 3 of September 2022. We are at the Go Home show for Victory Road. And before I get real started, well, with the news and whatnot, if anyone's followed me on Twitter, well, first of all, I'm sorry, but anyone who's here from Twitter already knows this, but I have decided that after this next batch of shows, I will probably be taking a break, probably an extended one. The kind of break I had originally planned taking after Slammiversary. But uh, basically, so we have Impact tonight. Then we have Victory Road. Then we have 2 episodes of Impact, and then we have Bound for Glory. So really, we're in the home stretch right now. These next 5 shows are pretty much going to be as balls to the wall as I can manage with what I got. Um, but yeah, after that, I think once we get to Bound for Glory, you will see why I'm taking a break. I feel like there will probably be a significant shift in talent. And therefore, I don't necessarily have Beyond Bound for Glory planned. So, like I said, I was originally going to take a break from after Slammiversary, but then the gap between Slammiversary and Bound for Glory kind of came together in the end really quick. So, but after Bound for Glory, I kind of see it as a phase, like a phase 2, like what's next for Impact. Even though it's not necessarily like an end of the year, it kind of is because Bound for Glory is basically Impact WrestleMania. And then anything that goes on after that basically sets up the next year. So, um, basically going to take a break. I would imagine at least a month, if not more, probably during at least summer. I imagine at least now that it's getting nicer out, I kind of have to do stuff I don't want to, like mow my yard and crap like that. So that's gonna cut into uh show creation time anyway. So basically, I imagine I'll get these next couple shows out till Bound for Glory. By that time, kind of, I guess summer will probably be in full swing. Then I can get creative from there on out. Finalized. I have a few plans floating here and there, but nothing concrete. Uh Kind of like I said with Slammiversary, the stuff kind of comes together as you play. So maybe inspirational strike, but I kind of doubt it. Um Even so, I might make few videos here and there. Like I might do like a state of the game. I might do like how other companies are doing. I might do like a roster overview. I do kind of want to overhaul, not necessarily overhaul, but make our television and finances kind of more realistic. Um, I am running weekly. I know Impact tapes like in chunks, which how the game was originally set up, but due to mostly my uh preference and relative inexperience with TEW, I set it to weekly. Plus, our contracts, I've mentioned before, like a lot of our pay raises are just aren't realistic. There is no way that people would be working for $20 a show. So stuff like that, I kind of want to dig in and make realistic. Like we are making money, but we're not making like tons of money. I'm kind of afraid changing stuff like that will affect that, but who knows? That stuff I kind of want to address when we get to phase 2, but we'll get there when we get there. Till then, we got the next, five shows, like I mentioned. So let's go to the news. All right, so let's just get into the numbers. Some interesting numbers, a little bit, I guess. BTI, our TV rating, zero point zero 0.01 as always, but our overall rating was a 36, up from a 30 from last week. I was kind of shocked because I booked like The Boys versus Rap 419 got a better rating than I was expecting. So, and I'm kind of cutting down on using, bare minimum. Oh, I hate to say bare minimum, but inexperienced road agents. So that resulted in our highest overall rating for BTI so far last week. Um, you can argue that doesn't really matter because our TV rating is always going to be a point oh 0.01, but still, BTI doing better. Impact suffering slight drops in ratings, 0.31 down from a 0.33, which I will take because, like I said, 0.33 has been our new high, which we've gotten the last like 2 weeks, or yeah, last 2 weeks, well, previous 2 weeks anyway, and then dropped down to a 0.31, which isn't bad. Overall rating of 41 down from a 45, which is, kind of less acceptable. Attendance was up, but again, not by much. 339 up from 323, so only 16 people increase. So it kind of seems like that happens before the pay-per-view where we get a slight downturn for whatever reason, but we'll see what happens tonight. Impact news, like we mentioned last week, Tenille Dashwood suffered a dislocated shoulder on Impact last week. We weren't sure how long she would be out. Thankfully, well, this is like a good news, bad news situation. She's only going to be out for 16 days, which isn't bad, but that is going to affect her title match. She will not be available to wrestle at Victory Road against Rosemary for the Knockouts title. So we will have to figure something out, which we do. Yeah. So stay tuned on Impact. Um, I have that figured out. Had an interesting AEW news. These next couple points are more AEW news than our news, but due to the um alliance with the NWA, Mercedes Martinez appeared on Rampage, which she's under contract with them. But she defeated Camille to become the new NWA Women's Champion with her first reign with that belt. And then Mickey James, who is under the NWA deal, or under an NWA deal, and still under contract with us on a handshake deal, she appeared on Dynamite for a one night deal where she and Taryn Terrell dropped the NWA women's tag titles to the new team of Abaddon and Diamante. So Mercedes Martinez becoming women's champion, Mickey James losing her tag team title. Mickey, we haven't really been using, but she is still under a handshake deal with us. So I figured it would, that's something we could mention here. In pre-taping news, I did do a positive medal between Chelsea Green and Deanna Prazzo in hopes that it would improve her morale. It resulted in a strong friendship because they basically already had I guess, a solid one before, so now they have a strong one. Unfortunately, that didn't do anything for her individual morale. She's still annoyed, but overall backstage morale due to this new friendship is at a 91. So I will take it. Backstage morale overall, really good backstage morale overall. It's just that we have a few random people with minor morale issues due to all those unplanned heel turns or heel and face turns that I am prone to doing. Hopefully, not so much anymore. American news. WWE, Matt Cardona signed an exclusive written deal. So, Matt Cardona, who started off with us, started off with us and GCW, left us to go to AIW for an exclusive deal with AIW, and now is going back to WWE. And not only that, um, he defeated Josh Bishop on an episode of AIW Go for Broke on the way out. So could not even put over Stiffy McGee on his way out. So um, Matt Cardona back in the WWE um, in our universe. So I don't know. Good for him, I guess. Whatever. And then Ronda Rousey, Edris Enofe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Saray have all renewed their exclusive deals. AEW, they have risen back up to medium size. So last couple weeks or a couple weeks ago, they had dipped down to small, and that was enough for them to be involved in like the Southeast regional battle, and they were in first place, so that bumped us down even further. But they had just uh dipped down to small, so a few things here and there, and they've already gotten back up to medium. So that's good news for us. That we don't have to deal with AEW in our regional battles, just basically NXT, MLW, and NWA. And other AEW news. Sorry, I had to cut something out there, but Chuck Taylor, his contract has run out and was not renewed. So AEW or Chuck Taylor, a free agent, um, may not seem like a big deal in our world, but in this world, he has actually gotten pretty over, and I try to make this. I try to save like any new signings as a surprise, but I will say that for our sake, we have entered negotiations for Chuck Taylor, and if they do go through, he is basically over enough to basically be our most over. He has gotten over enough in AEW that if we were to get him, he would likely be one of our, if not our most over uh person on the roster. So uh Chuck Taylor, if we can get him, would be a massive get. I know, like I said, it probably wouldn't be that big a deal in the real world, but in this world, Chuck Taylor has done fairly well for himself, and really weird that AEW did not renew his contract if he had gotten that over, but whatever. Their loss, I guess. But in other contract news for AEW, Abaddon and Bryce Remsburg have extended their handshake deals, which, like I said, Abaddon having just won the NWA Women's Tag Team titles, or one half of them anyway. So a good choice for her. I think she extended her contract and then won, so that was probably a good choice. Anthony Bowen signed an exclusive written contract. So in our game, uh, at least in AEW, exclusive contracts aren't that common really. I think Malachi Black is the only I think is the only other one with exclusive written contract. I was looking through the roster. Um I think Jay Lethal has an exclusive handshake deal for whatever reason. Um but yeah, exclusive deals aren't that common in AEW. And like I said, like Cody Rhodes uh is also on a deal with NWA and PWG. He's NWA champion, so most people are willing or has some crossover elsewhere. I will get into an issue later where for maybe the most part, like exclusive deals aren't that big a deal for a reason, but that's just something I'll get into later. And NWA Camille and NWA talent Camille and Mecha Wolf 450 signed one date. None. Oh my God, I cannot talk. Sorry. NWA talent Camille and Mecha Wolf 450 signed one night deals to appear on. I believe it was Dynamite, probably and Rampage, because like I mentioned in the previous slide, Camille losing her NWA title to Mercedes Martinez. So that's what happened there. More American news for MLW. Savio Vega, Cesar Duran, and Richard Holiday extended their handshake deals. GCW, Manders and Alex Clone have handed in their month's notice. This was like in within days of each other. So two talent leaving GCW. Shimmer, Rain defeated Kimberly and Layla Hirsch at Volume 129 to win the Heart of Shimmer title, her first reign with that belt. And then for the hell of it, I put in AIW Absolute Champ Eddie Kingston got a hot catchphrase over, which, is not surprising. I was kind of wondering, like, if he got a catchphrase over in AIW, does that carry over to his, like, AEW stuff or wherever else he works? But I don't know. That's something I'm just wondering out loud, I guess. International news, for New Japan, T-Hawk signed an exclusive written deal, and then Clark Connors extended his exclusive deal with NJPW Strong. I also put in parentheses that he's also on a handshake deal with Defy, so I don't know if that's a sort of thing. I don't remember if he had originally had an exclusive deal with New Japan Strong. So I guess if he signs one with that, does that put his Defy deal in jeopardy? I guess we'll find out eventually. All Japan joined the World Wrestling Network Alliance along with Shine. Shine was basically the only other promotion in that alliance, but now All Japan's there. They changed their style from Royal Pro Wrestling to wrestling as a sport. Not exactly sure what the difference is between those, but then also Naomichi Marufuji won the Royal Road Tournament, defeating Yusuke Kawaguchi in the finals. Progress. Their owner position is open due to the retirement of Martin Best. So Progress is running without an owner right now. Um, I did look to see if it was possible to like buy them out or something, but I'm just not interested. I would be kind of interested to have like an Impact UK, but there was really nobody on the Progress roster that worth taking over that company and incorporating them. So I'm just gonna leave them alone. AAA. La Chick Tormenta suffered a torn tricep that'll put her out of action for 2 months, and then a few days later she handed in her month's notice. So AAA, I don't know what's going on there, but she gets injured and then just said, "Screw you, I'm leaving." So whatever. I don't know if she has plans, but retirement's not a big month. Or big week rather, announced Shane Douglas, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the Barbarian, Hideki Hosaka, Corporal Robinson, Virgil, and Tracy Brooks. Officially in effect are Alex Wright, Roadkill, Shad Khan, and Martin Best, as previously mentioned. Now that Progress is without ownership. Other life events, some notable ones. Kane and Ultimo Dragon were inducted into the Hall of the Immortals. Uh, Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins divorced. So uh, that was big news. I think that like happened right after I wrapped up Impact last week. So it was like Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins got divorced, and then Matt Cardona goes back to WWE. Like kind of a big week for at least WWE news. And then a death in the game. Davian, who was currently working at Shimmer, passed away. Um, Apparently due to being struck by lightning twice in a row, according to the game. But um, yeah, so Davian joins DDP and LA Park as notable deaths in this game. Before the Impact results, so start off with Willow Nightingale versus Masa Slamovich, and Willow Nightingale gets the win. But afterwards, Savannah Evans and Janai Kai run in to attack Willow Nightingale. Um, News I'll get into later. After that, we get a Zhao training montage, basically keeping her in the uh, consciousness as the digital media champion, but also best segment of the night, probably for good reason. If her Instagram posts are anything to go by. Then we get a Crazy Steve promo where basically Crazy Steve talks about having tried talk sense into Willie Mack as of late in his Willie Mack's recent beef with the crew of Raj Singh and Shera and Falaba. Is maybe that him talking sense might be a little crazy, but maybe he's kind of been feeling enlightened as of late and wants to try to uh, help instead of sow chaos. So we'll see what happens with that. And then Raj Singh and Shera defeating the tandem of Alex Zane and Zicky Dice. So Zane and Zicky Dice, Zane with his first loss, even though he wasn't pinned, it had Zicky getting pinned, but Falaba interfering, allowing Singh to get the pin on Zicky, which results in Willie Mack coming out after the match, um, attacking Singh and Shera and Falaba, but with Zane and Zicky out there, it's basically 3-on-3. So Willie Mack afterward gets on the mic after Singh and Shera and Falaba powder out. Uh, they say basically points out that there's three of them and there's three of them, three of us and three of you. So let's just do this at on the pre-show for Victory Road. So we get a 6-man tag set for the pre-show of Victory Road. Raj Singh, Shera, Falaba versus Willie Mack and Swingers Palace of Alex Zane and Zicky Dice. So overall rating of 34. Not as good as, last week, maybe about the same as the week before, but mostly carried by that Zhao training montage. But we did get some good news out of this. Willow and Masha have great chemistry in the ring, which is good news for both of them. Particularly Masha because I was kind of beginning to think of her as somewhat of a lost cause, did not really have a place for her after her thing with Killer Kelly kind of did not go as planned. And good for Willow. So something to do for them to do to, go back to. Eventually Savannah Evans' gimmick is getting stale. Um I don't know what it's set to now, but that is something we'll have to tweak. But yeah, we got before the Impact in. Now let's just go to Impact. All right, so we start off Impact somewhat hot, I guess. X Division champion Swerve Strickland non-title match versus Chris Bay. This match made last week by Swerve, who put on the line that if Chris Bay were to win, then he can, basically be at ringside and do whatever he wants. During their match with uh, on the side of Will Hobbs, his title defense against Will Hobbs at Victory Road, but that does not happen. Swerve, third time in a row, beats Chris Bay. Good match, which I figured it would be, but despite Bay not really having a chance, but this is all to set up Swerve versus Hobbs at Victory Road. And also, now that Swerve has defeated Chris Bay will be banned from ringside at Victory Road, making it a one-on-one match. Segment rating of 45, gaining heat for the storyline. Solid performances for both. But after the match, Swerve celebrates his win. Will Hobbs, having been at ringside during that match, but did not interfere, did not make sure that Bay would get the win. to ensure that he would be at ringside. But Hobbs does attack immediately after the match, beats down Swerve, plants him with a power bomb. But while this is happening, Bay goes underneath the ring, pulls out a table, sets it up, tells Hobbs to powerbomb Swerve from inside the ring through the table at ringside. So Hobbs powerbombing Swerve through a table from the inside to the outside of the ring. Damage is done. Hobbs may not have Chris Bay at ringside, but Swerve possibly at a big disadvantage after suffering such a big power bomb. Segment rating of 36. Sorry. My cat is meowing at something. I'm gonna go check it out. All right. So after that match, we go backstage to Gail Kim. Gail Kim, having an announcement on the status of Tenille Dashwood and her injury. We mentioned her; she's not there because she is injured. Like I said, suffering a dislocated shoulder. Like I mentioned in the news, Gail also mentions like it's a good news, bad news. Good news is that um, Tennille will not be off for much time, but that time that she is off will prevent her from having that Knockouts Championship match against Rosemary at Victory Road. So she has decided that that match will be pushed back to Bound for Glory. Uh, Kept the same. Knockouts title on the line. Rosemary versus Tenille Dashwood, just taking place at Bound for Glory instead of at Victory Road. So that with that announcement made, the inspiration come up to her, and they basically are kind of bummed that Tenille Dashwood is injured, but um, they realize that with her out for the time being, that she would not be a factor in a future match with a possible rematch with the tag team titles, the Knockouts tag team champions of the BFFs, Chelsea Green and Deanna Prazo. And they remind Gail that Cassie did pin Chelsea in the six knockout tag last week. So she feels between that and the typical rematch clauses that entitles them to a rematch, and they want it. They want a rematch for the titles at Victory Road, and with Tenille injured, that she would not be a factor. Gail Kim thinks about it for a second, but immediately they're bombarded by Chelsea and Deanna, and they're like, "No, we refuse." And Gail's basically, well, they're like, "That's not up to you." I think that sounds like a great idea. So, Chelsea and Deanna have to defend their titles against the Inspiration at Victory Road. Segment rating of 34. All right. All right. So after that, we come back to Brian Myers in the ring, calls out Joe Hendry. Hendry, having made the challenge last week where he wants Brian Myers at Victory Road. Um, if Hendry wins, then Nick Stap CPA can have his job back. But if Myers wins, then Hendry will leave Impact. Myers just wants to come out, make the match official, shake on it. So he calls out Joe Hendry. Hendry comes out. They do shake on it, but eventually that's all just a setup for Avery Good and VSK to come out and jump Joe Hendry. It's a 3-on-1 beatdown. Well, basically 2-on-1 beatdown where with Myers calling the shots, but um, they eventually tie Hendry up into the ropes, and Myers says that he's, before the match, he's got like a little post-match or pre-match surprise for him, and brings out Nick Stap CPA. Myers tells CPA that like Hendry is a nobody, even, like if you want to follow him, that's up to you. But, you know, if you continue to follow me, maybe you won't be a wrestler in Impact, but I'll make sure you have a job for life at the Create a Pro wrestling school, even if it is like cleaning toilets. But what you got to do is you got to prove your loyalty to me. So Myers has like his cane or whatever that he has and gives it to CPA and says, "You need to prove your loyalty to me. You attack Joe Hendry, and you do that now." And Nick is just does not want to do it. Um, Eventually Myers just gets in his face, is like, if you don't do this now, if you don't, do what I say, I will kick you out of the Creative Pro Wrestler like wrestling school. You will never have a shot at getting a job at Impact. You will be a nobody. You will be out on the street. I am the only one that, is, keeping you around and I'm doing this for you, so the best you can, like, the least you can do is follow me, pledge your loyalty, and attack Joe Hendry. And eventually Stapp just throws the cane down and walks off. So Stapp showing loyalty to Joe Hendry, disavowing Myers basically says he's fed up and is like, you walk out in front of, like, you walk out from me now and you can, kiss your wrestling career goodbye. And Stapp eventually just does. He just walks off. So, uh, Myers and Hendry set for Impact with, basically Nick Stapp's career on the line, but it's also Joe Hendry's. Segment rating of 21, which is unfortunate. I guess I had that run too long for Avery Good and VSK to be out there and the storyline losing heat. But, we'll see what happens at Victory Road. Um, Two possible jobs on the line. Nick Stapp's basically out on the street as of now, so walking out on his former teacher Brian Myers. And then we get Roxy versus Tasha Steeles. Basically a continuation of the girl gang feud. Roxy uh, losing to Tasha Steeles. Tasha kind of gaining momentum, but also with help from Mercedes Martinez. Um, Mentioning that she is new NWA Women's Champion, but that doesn't really matter here or now. But Tasha Steeles continuing her role now that basically Mercedes Martinez has been calling the shots. Tasha's off her game, segment rating of 29. And then yep, that had uh basically results in another brawl. Mercedes Martinez attacking Roxy. Quinn McKay comes out attacking Mercedes Martinez and comes out for the save. So Quinn McKay saving Roxy from Tasha and Mercedes. But we also had Willow being attacked by Savannah and Janai Kai earlier in the night. Segment rating of 28, another overlong segment. I think I only do these for like 3 or 4 minutes, and that's still too long for these people. And Mercedes Martinez is also getting a stale gimmick, so we gotta fix her and Savannah Evans. So I'll let you know how that works out. We go backstage. Jonathan Gresham and Jordan Grace are basically kind of hyping each other up for their match at Victory Road. Husband and wife mixed tag team. Gresham and Grace are like, we got this. I've beaten Rich Swann. I know, you haven't had the greatest of luck with Sue Young, but I'll help you out. I'm here for you. It's what we do. Um, and then kind of like in weeks past, Rich Swann comes out or gets in their faces and makes fun of them. But also the lights start to flicker and Sue Young appears and basically has kind of like started choking out Jordan Grace, which leads to Rich Swann and Gresham fighting each other. So we get a backstage fight. that's how we get here. So segment rating of 29 for that. The storyline losing heat, but yeah, Gresham and Grace versus Rich Swann and Sue Young at Victory Road, setting that up. We get the Viper Open Challenge that was laid out last week, and Viper's, basically, short and simple is like it's been a week. Whoever wants to accept this open challenge, come out and get it, and we get some familiar music, and ODB comes out. So ODB, if you remember, has announced her retirement a couple weeks, if not maybe like a month or so ago. So her retirement's impending, and she does cut a promo and talks about how, this, you know, she is, outrunning her food truck or whatever she does now, and she's having a great life, but she wants one last like one. I don't want to say one last rodeo because Mickey James is doing that, but basically she thinks, she's got one more match in her, and she saw Viper's open challenge, and it just made sense to her. Basically, one bad bitch against another, one big bad bitch, I guess, against another, and we have it set. ODB versus Viper at Victory Road, segment rating of 31, probably ODB's last match. ODB's gimmick getting an adequate rating. Small boost to microphone. That probably would have helped here. I don't know, but yeah, basically we just have her. We brought her in for Victory Road, so this isn't going to be a regular thing. This is basically I won't want to say ODB's send off, but we'll see how that happens at Victory Road if Viper can get the job done, or if ODB still has one more go left in her. We get an interview, Gia Miller interviewing Heath and Rhino. They talk about how disappointed they are in the results of the main event last week. The 6-man tag with them and Jake Something versus Lance Archer, Eric Young, and Damien O'Connor. They weren't able to get the win, but they know what Eric Young's game is up to. They know is like they know he's trying to hold Jake Something down, but Jake Something's their friend, and they think he's cool. They like him. They see a future in him, and they're not bitter old washed up vets like Eric Young. They see the future in guys like Jake Something, and they want to see it thrive. They want to see Impact thrive, and they want to see guys like Jake Something put Impact on their back and carry it into the future. And that's why they're there. They may have, suffered a setback last week, but while they're cutting that promo, Jake Something just basically blows right past them, uh, and goes out to the ring. So segment rating of 30 for that interview. And Jake Something goes out to the ring. I did not mean this to, I don't think I meant this to be an interview, but basically, Jake Something goes out to the ring and challenges Eric Young for a match at Victory Road. Jake says, you may have pinned me last week in that 6-man, but you had your foot on the ropes or held the tights or however I booked him to win it. I know I did like dirty shenanigans to give him a cheap win, but Jake says like you may have pinned me last week, but you did it dirty. I know for a fact that you can't do it one on one. So I want it at Victory Road, you and me one on one, and Eric Young. Don't really have him accepting, but the match will be on. Eric Young versus Jake Something. Victory Road, segment 26, losing heat for that storyline. So not a great, other than the opener, not that great of a show so far. Yep, this will turn around. More State Machine Guns versus LAX. Match made last week where LAX kind of have been calling the Guns out for their recent behavior. So they kind of wanted to do, see if they could hang one more time. Unfortunately, for LAX, they are not able to. The Guns get the win. Saban pins Hernandez. Hernandez is the weak link, which is to be expected. But basically, two teams of this caliber, or at least of the Guns, talented, uh, LAX at least having chemistry as a team at this point. But unfortunately for LAX, I guess age has gotten to them, and the Guns are able to get the win. The Guns, giving their all in their match, have not, not giving into their like selfish behavior as it has been last couple weeks. So, good match. Segment rating of 49. Um, but then afterwards, as the Guns celebrate and LAX goes to the back, they are jumped. They are jumped by Colby Carino and Anthony Henry, the debuting Anthony Henry. Colby Carino ripping off his neck brace and throwing it at Homicide, and uh, the two of them basically attacking a tired LAX. Having spent the last 10 minutes trying to keep up with the Guns and failing essentially. But yeah, they attack LAX. Anthony Henry debuting his traditionalist gimmick, which got a rating of awful. Uh, and the segment and storyline loses heat. So, full disclosure, the original plan was for Carino to bring in the workhorsemen of Anthony Henry and JD Drake. And we were going to set up LAX versus the workhorsemen. But JD Drake has a handshake deal with AEW, and due to our relationship with AEW, where we can't sign anybody from them and they can't sign anybody from us, the only rule exception to that was Mercedes Martinez, who had a deal already with us, so that deal had to stand. But we can't sign anybody from them, and they can't sign anybody from us, even if it's handshake deals. So instead of Colby Carino bringing in the workhorsemen, we brought in one of them, and Colby Carino is going to tag with them. But I must have given him a crappy gimmick because now it's awful. It's extremely marketable gimmick. It's just, you know, maybe people will get used to it. We'll see. Segment room 25. But yeah, after the match, they cut a promo or cut an interview, rather, with Gia Miller. And they challenge um, Homicide and Hernandez to a match at Victory Road. So we get LAX versus Carino and Henry in a tag match, and I believe I have that set for the pre-show. So they won't really say it's the pre-show, but that's where it's probably gonna end up being. Segment rating of 20. All right, so we get a segment backstage. We have Maria Kanellis and Michael Bennett somewhere backstage, probably walking. Um, when eventually D'Lo Brown comes up and basically interrupts them, and he's like, I was looking for, I'm glad I found you, Michael. I was looking for you." And uh they're just kind of shocked. They're like, "Really? After after what we did last week, you've been looking for us?" He's like, "Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that unfortunately you I guess you wanted out of that match with Dalton Castle that he wanted with you at Victory Road. Unfortunately, I have to tell you that Dalton Castle will not be medically cleared to compete at Victory Road. Uh, so he will not, like, your match with him is off." And Ben is just like, "Okay, good, whatever. I did my job." And Braun's like, "Well, I'll stop you there. You will still have a match at Victory Road. I have a replacement for Dalton Castle. Your match is on, and I have I just gotta let you know, I've had plenty of people calling Impact wanting to come back, and plenty of people want to spot an Impact. People have been here before; they want to come back, and you got a match with one of them at Victory Road. And Bennett's like, well, all right, well, who's it gonna be? And Brown's like, you know what? After what you pulled last week, I'm not gonna tell you. And Bennett's like throwing a fit. He's like, how the hell am I supposed to prepare for a mystery opponent? And Brown Dealer's just like, that's your problem, not mine. So D'Lo Brown setting Michael Bennett up with a mystery opponent at Victory Road. Segment rating of 42. The next segment kind of flows into from that one, where basically Maria and Bennett keep walking. Eventually, they run into W. Morrissey, who's just kind of chilling out backstage. And Morrissey, kind of overhearing what had happened, kind of chuckling to himself. And Maria immediately gets into Morrissey's face, like, you have some nerve, acting the way you've been acting and laughing at my husband and, failing, to do what I told you. I strongly suggested that you lay down for Steve Macklin, and you didn't, and you got what was coming to you. You got a beat down from Macklin and Raywell and Black Taurus. But that's not all. That beat down's going to continue. Your punishment's going to continue because at Victory Road, you're going to have a match against all three of them. It's going to be you versus Steve Macklin and Matthew Raywell and Black Taurus. Um, and Maria's just like, I hope you're happy with yourself and how you've been acting. And Morrissey's just kind of like, well, whatever. I'll take them on. But it's going to be a 3-on-1 match at Victory Road. Morrissey, can he survive the punishment of Macklin and Raywell in Taurus? We'll find out. Segment rating of 31 for that. We get Eddie Edwards versus Brody King, getting us a 52, which is pretty good. But going to a double disqualification draw just due to the wild brawl, the wild nature. I think I do have this set as a wild brawl. So yeah, basically just beating the crap out of each other, and the ref cannot get a handle on it. So just throwing the match out, getting us a 52. So that's pretty good. But after the match, basically just results with PCO running in and Davey Richards running in, evening things up. Just a brawl, just a wild brawl everywhere. Cannot, contain these guys, but they're gonna have to, they got the Gospel of Violence has a tag team title shot against the Wolves at Victory Road, so we'll see what happens. If this sort of violence can continue. Segment rating of 45 for that. We get a Rosemary promo, basically talking about she's disappointed that Tenille uh has suffered an injury. The match has been pushed back to Bound for Glory, like we've mentioned, but that just gives Rosemary more time to train, more time to prepare, more time to uh for Tenille to think about, what hell she's going to be put through, um, and make sure that she retains the knockouts time. Typical knockouts or typical championship promo from Rosemary, segment rating of 30. And then we go backstage, a setup to the main event tonight. It'll be I haven't been hyping this out throughout the show, but the main event tonight and up next is Josh Alexander and Speedball Mike Bailey versus Lance Archer and Ace Austin. So before the match, Ace Austin is hanging out and runs into Lance Archer. We'll say Madman Fulton's there too, but I don't have him. But basically, Austin's talking about how he's glad that Lance Archer is on his team and is pretty stoked to see what he does to Josh Alexander tonight, because if he does a good enough job beating Josh Alexander down tonight, Austin could easily swoop in and cash in his title shot briefcase. And Lance Archer's like, well, that's a pretty good idea, but, do you want to think that through? And Austin's like, why? And he's like, let's say I beat the crap out of Josh Alexander tonight, and you do cash in that world title shot, and you do become world champion tonight. That just means you're going to be facing me at Victory Road. Do you really want that? And Austin just kind of like realizes what he's said, and they're like, maybe not. And Lance Archer's like, I didn't think so, and kind of slaps him on the back. It's like, good talking with the kid. I'll see you out there. And so Austin, not probably too keen on cashing in his world title shot tonight. Um, Segment rating of 38. And then meanwhile, we go backstage. Basically, Josh Alexander and Mike Bailey also there too, and they're getting ready to go out to the ring. Speedball is just like, let's go, and Bailey's just like, all right, let's go to the ring, and Alexander's like, all right, I'll meet you out there. Just go ahead. I'll see you out, or I'll meet you out in Gorilla or whatever. I just gotta take care of a few things. So he grabs his belt, or Bailey goes off. Josh grabs his belt and gets his headgear or whatever, and he notices a note uh on his bag. So he picks it up, and it's a series. He opens up an envelope, and it's a series of cards. And first one says 5, 4. He keeps turning these cards 3, 2, 1, but there's nothing after 1. So Alexander's just kind of like wondering what the hell is just going on. He throws the cards off and just goes to Gorilla to meet Bailey and get get their main event match going on tonight. Their tag title. I want to say title. Their tag team match tonight, the main event. Segment rating of 49, so good for Josh. But we shall see what this note is all about. Uh, but the main event, uh, Lance Archer and Ace Austin defeating Josh Alexander and Mike Bailey when Austin pinning Bailey with Met interference from Madman Fulton. So the heels winning. Uh, Lance Archer and Josh Alexander, we get like a preview of their title match. They do face off a little bit, but like we want the we want to basically tease for the we don't want to give you guys too much because we got the world title match at Victory Road. So the bulk of the match ends up being Bailey versus Austin, and Austin getting the win with help from Madman Fulton. Archer seemed off his game, but Archer and Austin do show chemistry teaming together. So a good not relationship, but at least some chemistry, there. Storyline gaining heat. Archer seeming off his game, which probably helped or hurt a little bit, but 45, not too bad for our main event. And then basically ending the show as Archer and Austin celebrate their win. Austin still holding on to his world title briefcase, being talked into not cashing it in tonight from Lance Archer, but Archer definitely having his eyes on the world title for himself. We'll see how that goes down at Victory Road if he can get the job done against Josh Alexander. Segment rating of 40. Again, overall of 45, which is pretty average for us at this point, or pretty above average, I guess. But what we've been getting the last couple weeks, for the most part. Swerve and Bay getting a 45. Guns versus LAX a 49. Eddie Edwards and Brody King 52, so that was probably the match of the night, even though it went to a double DQ. 45 for the main event. High marks for our main event segments overall. So there we go. The last show for until Victory Road, which means we bring up open office and show you the card for Victory Road. Impact World Title on the line. Josh Alexander defending against Lance Archer. The X Division title match. Swerve Strickland defending against Powerhouse Hobbs. Uh, Chris Bay is banned from ringside, so it's a one-on-one match there. But like we left off, Swerve suffering a sick power bomb through a table. So we'll see uh, he how he makes it to Victory Road and if he can make it out the X Division champ. Impact Tag Team Championship match: the Wolves defending against the Gospel of Violence. Pretty much somewhat of a stalemate at least tonight. So we'll see if one of these teams can even out over the other. If they can even, be somewhat civilized in a match like this. The Knockouts Tag Team Championship rematch from Emergence. I think that was the last pay per view. The BFFs of Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green versus the former champs of the Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay. A grudge match. Jake Something versus Eric Young. Jake Something winning this one-on-one, but Damien O'Connor probably going to be a factor. Will Heath and Rhino be a factor? Maybe we'll find out. Husband and wife mixed tag match: Jordan Grace and Jonathan Gresham versus Rich Swann and Sue Young. Vipers Open Challenge accepted by ODB. So we got Viper versus ODB in what could be ODB's last match. Uh, with Hendry's and Stapp's jobs on the line, Brian Myers versus Joe Hendry. If Hendry wins, Nick Stapp CPA can get his job back with Impact. But if Myers wins, Hendry will leave Impact. Um, a Maria Kanello LLC punishment match. W. Morrissey has to face three men at the same time: Matthew Raywolt, Steve Macklin, and Black Taurus. And then also Maria with Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett will be facing D'Lo Brown's mystery replacement for Dalton Castle. And then in the pre-show, we got Falaba, Raj Singh, and Mahabali Shera versus Willie Mack, Zicky Dice, and Alex Zane, and LAX versus Colby Carino and Anthony Henry. So, there we go. Victory Road, the next show. So yeah. Like I said, we're in the home stretch. We got Victory Road and then, a couple shows and then Bound for Glory. So, we are ramping up here. This could be a big show for us. And we definitely have a big show on the way with Bound for Glory, technically our season finale, if you will. So, make sure you stay tuned if you like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at Victory Road.